Hello, everybody. It's Louise here, and welcome back to my fifth episode of the Appreciation podcast, where I'll be talking about trees, and nothing but trees. Today, the main focus of our podcast is the Christmas tree. This is quite a loose category because there are many different types of Christmas tree, but the Norwegian spruce is the original and therefore in the spotlight. If you want to listen to this podcast from the beginning, go back to my channel and listen to the Appreciation playlist. The episodes are in no particular order, but I know some people might like to hear them consecutively. If you haven't bought a Christmas tree yet, it's getting a little bit late, let's face it. You might want to buy one from the store before all the good ones run out. However, if you have left it late on purpose and are going to buy a Norwegian spruce, then you're probably ahead of the game, because these tricksy trees lose their needles quickly indoors. Before we get into all the ins and outs of the Christmas tree, I just want to say thank you to trees in general, because due to a recent experience when it was snowy, the tree stopped me from sliding down a hill on my stomach and looking completely ridiculous. So thank you, because I don't think I would have made it down in one piece otherwise. If you before had any doubts whatsoever about trees being awesome, then this just proves my point that they are the best thing since sliced bread. In fact, they are probably better than sliced bread because they predated it and are still the most useful and amazing things on the planet. So take that, sliced bread. Who needs you when we have trees? Anyway, back to the present, the Norwegian spruce. Okay, so normally I would give you a description of what this particular tree looks like, except I'm pretty sure we all have a very good idea of what a Christmas tree looks like, since we have one in our homes every year. That is usually a Norwegian spruce. I thought that today we would look more broadly at Christmas trees in general, and why we put them up in our houses annually. It may or may not be common knowledge that the Christmas tree was a tradition that originated in Germany and was brought over to England during the Victorian period. Long before Christianity and all the modern religious meanings, evergreen trees had special meaning to people because they stayed green all the year through, unlike most trees, hence the name evergreen. Hanging a bough of evergreen above your door was supposed to keep away the evil spirits and disease, and maybe a few witches. In Germany, the tradition for bringing trees into your home started in the 16th century when Christians would bring them in from the forest. If wood was scarce, then instead people would bring little pyramids of timber decorated with evergreen boughs and candles inside. The tradition of putting lighted candles on the tree was supposedly started by the social reformist Martin Luther. One frosty December night, he was walking home through the pine trees and, upon looking up, saw the stars shining through the branches. He thought it a magical experience, but wasn't sure how to replicate that ethereal experience for his family. In the end, after some thought, he placed lit candles on his own Christmas tree, creating a similar panoramic view. For your first fun fact of the episode, in western Sweden, a Norwegian spruce with the nickname Old Chico is supposedly the oldest tree on the planet, standing tall at a whopping 9,550 years of age. If science is correct on this one, as it usually is, then this tree was just a sapling during the 8th millennium BC, when we were just cavemen living in, caves, and pottery was just becoming a thing. On average, spruce trees can live for about 150 to 200 years, which is good going really, longer than I'll live. But there are plenty of cases where trees have exceeded this lifespan by centuries, even millennia in the case of Old Chico. Christmas trees, in these modern times, are often well decorated. We often use a red and gold colour scheme, but why? Well, one theory is that mushrooms started this. There is a specific series of fungus called fly agaric mushrooms, or Alice in Wonderland mushrooms, more commonly known. These only grow under certain evergreen trees, including the Norway spruce. They look a lot like toadstools and come in shades of reds, whites, and golden orange. These mushrooms were special because of their growth requirements, and possibly were the fundamental source of the red and gold colour scheme we use on our Yuletide trees today, even. Spruce beer was made in North America and Canada by the natives as a medicinal brew. By the 18th century, it was one of the most popular drinks in the North. Spruces, surprisingly, also feature in the warm Mediterranean mythology of ancient Greece. Artemis, in case you didn't know, was the goddess of the moon, the hunt, and a protector of women. The noble spruce tree was dedicated to her. Now, for some Christmas tree facts. People used to decorate other trees, not just evergreens, such as cherry and hawthorn. The assistant of the celebrated Thomas Edison, Edward Johnson, came up with the idea of electric lights for Christmas trees in 1882. Only 2% of all Christmas trees are cut from the wild. The first artificial Christmas trees were made from dyed goose feathers. An acre of Christmas tree provides the daily oxygen needed for 18 people to survive. Fir trees are also a very popular choice as Christmas trees, so not just all the spotlight on the spruce, but firs are good too. We like the firs. One small occurrence that promoted Christmas trees was when a fir tree was used as the prevailing prop in a rendition of Adam and Eve in the medieval play Paradise Tree. This fir was hung with apples, representing the Garden of Eden. In Celtic mythology, yes, if you've listened to my other podcast episodes, then you will know a lot of the myths about trees are part of the Celtic folklore. They just like their trees, okay? Anyway, in Celtic myths, firs were an emblem of truth, strength, intelligence, and hope, their tall straight trunks making them seem reliable and steadfast. In Caledonian Scotland, the Douglas fir occupied 95% of the country. This tree symbolised hope because it kept its leaves, or rather needles, all the year round. Holly and mistletoe were also popular because they were evergreen also. The wisdom connotations of this tree came from the rare ability to predict the weather. Their cones open in the relative warmth of the sunshine, but they're also always sure to shut themselves up again just before the rainstorms, making it a tree of prophecy also. If you have a fir tree in your dreams, then there are several possible meanings. In a work environment, the fir means success, promotion, and fresh employment opportunities. If you are decorating a fir, it means internal peace, and a joyous event is coming in the future. If the fir tree in your dream is dying, then expect sickness, or do all you can to prevent it. To be sat under a fir tree is a sign of a tranquil day when you wake up. Again, there is another Greek myth linked with this beautiful tree. Pitys was an Oread nymph, and which the god of shepherd and rustic music, known as Pan, fell in love with. When she died, Pan turned her body into a sacred tree, the fir. Now it is time for your tree horoscope. If you were born between the 2nd of January and the 11th of January, or the 3rd to the 13th of July, then the fir tree is your birth tree. If people born under the fir read this, then they are probably hard-working and talented, bestowed with gifts of beauty and dignity. You have an original mindset that enables you to creatively solve problems, giving you great success in life. You are a very responsible person and unlikely to fall prey to overindulgence or gluttony. Sometimes you can be introverted and distrustful, relying on yourself too much, with a moody and stubborn attitude at times. However, you can be extremely selfless and loving to those around you. Your life won't necessarily be easy, but everything will work out in the end. Goodbye and thank you for listening. If you like this, please consider subscribing to my channel for similar content, and I will see you again in 2 weeks.